Hey, what's going on? In this video, we're going to discuss the age-old question. What matters more, having quality content but less of it, or having more consistent content over time? Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Wong here. I am pumped to dive into this question, which is what matters more, having quality pieces of content but less of it, or having quantity, multiple pieces of content, but being more consistent over time. It is a debate that all content creators, all thought leaders, all established experts really struggle with, and especially in a time like we are now, in a global pandemic at the time of recording this. What matters more? Should we be putting out more content, or should we really hold back and make sure to perfect every little detail of every piece of content that goes out there, whether it's a podcast, a video, a blog, so that it is perfectly tailored and we are positioned better in the marketplace? Well, the reason I was inspired to do this is because, as some of you might or might not know, we run a podcast agency. And because we run a podcast agency, we get an opportunity to work with brands, work with thought leaders, and we get less of an opportunity to create content like this. And I've been trying to be more consistent. And so if you can be so kind and you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit subscribe, hit that bell notification, make sure to give it a like, because it does give us some great momentum in beating the algorithm and getting our content out there. So when we're typically working with our clients, they will have this debate with us on making every little detail right. And they totally have the right to be able to do this. However, you want to make sure that, the other side of the argument is, well, does it actually matter if you have not launched any type of content, if you're not consistent with any content marketing right now, and you are not adding any value into the marketplace, right? But then they will say, Jay, before we actually do that, we want it to be a certain way, we need it to look a certain way. And I don't know if it sounds familiar to you, right? But I've been there many, many times, and I've had many different experiences, different clients to kind of think about this. And I think the answer is you do both. Right? The real answer is you do both. You get better quality over time, but you are more consistent. I think consistency is the one that matters the most. And in fact, I think consistency matters the most, that it matters more how you create the content and that you push it out than what you put in the actual content. Let me explain. I'm filming this video right now. I don't know if you can see, but it's like snowing. We're in my backyard, right? It's nothing fancy. We don't even have the thumbnail for this video perfectly optimized, and that's okay. Because why? Because the purpose of content, the purpose of a podcast, the purpose of some of these things that you guys are looking to create is the idea of adding your 2 cents. It's the perspective. It's stirring the pot in the conversation. So yes, quality matters, and we want to be able to get it 80, 75, 80%, 85% correct, but it's not about nailing it right away. Because why? Because you can't actually nail it right away. I don't know if you know this, you cannot actually nail the content on the first take. Not because you're not good at doing the first take, but because you actually don't know your audience, right? The reason I ask you guys to comment and to like is that, yeah, it's a little fun and tongue-in-cheek and beat the algorithm, right? But the more feedback you can give us, the more feedback you can give me, the better the content can be, the better the content can help you answer your questions, because that's the purpose of content. That's the purpose of putting out great pieces of content. It's to help your audience. It's to add perspective. It's to build value in the marketplace. It's to position yourself, and you don't need perfectly well-timed, well-positioned content pieces all the time. Now, there are times where you might want to tighten things up. You might want to build the brand a little stronger, but I'm telling you, for most of you that are maybe just starting out, or maybe you haven't been as consistent, or even if you have been pushing out content, but you haven't really nailed your schedule, your rhythm, and you haven't trained yourself to a place where you could just create content on the fly, then I would encourage you deeply to not worry about whether you're in the backyard, not worry about if you're falling over, not worry about some of these things, to create content, to add your 2 cents out there, to share your perspective, because ultimately we're in this to help more people, and the more people you can help, the more that value circles back to you. I hope that makes sense, but I'd love to hear it from you, right? What do you think matters? Are you trapped in that thinking a little bit of, I gotta perfect the website, I gotta perfect the logo, I gotta perfect the video, the podcast, do I have to perfect these things before I release it? Or can I release it and build as I go? I side more on the second half because I've seen it. I've seen shows start out and it's not pretty. It's not great. In fact, if I look back to my first podcast episode, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't perfect. But because we started, that is what began the engine of speaking. It's what began the agency. It's what began so many of my relationships that I treasure and love now, whether they're mentors or friends or people that we've been able to interview. It started this amazing, amazing part of my life, and I would have never been able to do that if I just focused on perfection. So forget the perfection is what I would say, but I'd love to hear from you. Comment below, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell, keep me accountable, make sure we're staying up over here. Even if the lighting is terrible, it's all good. That's the whole point. All right, we'll see you guys very soon.